Guys, of course it's time for another week in review where I'm going to go over all the books I read for the past week. I've got quite the challenge I'm bringing on myself by all the books I've planned to read this week. I might be overwhelming myself, but let's just get through it. The first book I read for the week, Amazing X-Men, Once and Future Juggernaut, and this is volume 3. I have to say that this series has not been disappointing at all. I've really enjoyed this series so far, and I love the fact that every issue always seems to feature an epic storyline. The last one was the Wendigos, and this one features one of my favorite villains, the Juggernaut. And of course, you know, there have been a couple of people who have been the Juggernaut, and the demon who controls the Sidorak gem is out again, and he's trying to recruit another Juggernaut. So of course, you know, the Amazing X-Men are there trying to stop it. They really don't want it to happen again. Colossus was the Juggernaut at one time. And, of course, there was Kane Marco, who was Charles Xavier's stepbrother, or half-brother. I know he's related to him somehow. But he was the Juggernaut at one time, and I thought this was a really interesting story. The core part of this story was really good. And, of course, there was a disappointing filler story at the end, which always kind of sucks when they do that. But if you love X-Men as much as I do, and you're looking for like a good story that's got some cool villains in it, I think you should definitely check this out. I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. It's worth picking up if you're an X-Men fan. After that, I decided to pick up Storm, Make It Rain, and this is volume 1. To be quite honest with you guys, this was so blah. Really. It was so underwhelming. Yeah, Storm is a cool X-Man, but this was just so not what I was hoping for. I did appreciate the fact that they do acknowledge the events in other books. It is, you know, they mentioned the death of Wolverine, even though Wolverine is in some of this, so Wolverine must have died somewhere in a few of these issues. So it was just okay, and I will be honest with you guys, I only rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. It was not as good as I anticipated, and I really don't think I'm going to read any more issues of Storm. It just felt so blah for me. Up next we have Gambit Volume 2, Tombstone Blues, and it's called Tombstone Blues because it features the Spider-Man villain Tombstone. Now, I have to say that this wasn't as great as I was hoping it was going to be. I mean, I think Gambit is one of the cooler X-Men, and Gambit talks about himself in this book as that he's not really a hero because he's a known thief with a past. And that's what they try to emphasize in this book. I really just find this to be an okay book. I mean, this is only the second volume, but it was just okay. I really only rated this 3 out of 5 stars. I may pick up a third volume of this. I'm not sure, but it was meh, you know, at best. After that, I read Black Widow Last Days. Can't remember which volume this is, but so far this series has been great. I absolutely love the artwork. But we learn a little bit more about the Black Widow. We learn about her past. You know, how she was trained to be a spy and a killer, like an assassin. And we learn more about this hidden organization called Chaos. Overall, I thought this was a very enjoyable story. And if you guys have not read this series yet, if you have not picked this up, you really should be checking it out. Especially if you're a fan of the Avengers. Because this was really, really good. I have to say I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. It's worth checking out If you have not checked out any of these Black Widow books, you should definitely be reading. Okay, I got 3 books to share with you. First up, we have Manifest Destiny Volume 1, Flora and Fauna. And then we have Manifest Destiny Volume 2, Amphibia and Insecta. And I'm sharing both of these at the same time because I don't want to go over too much in detail in this week in review. And I'm going to ask you guys to go to the video that's linked down in the description to see the full-on review of these. I've decided to do a separate review for these where I can talk a little more in depth about them. I do want to share with you what the basic premise is for these 2 books. It's basically Lewis and Clark go and explore the Louisiana Purchase and, you know, until the western coast or whatever. Well, anyways, the first book starts out where they go to this fort where they're supposed to meet up with Sacagawea, and there's this mysterious event has occurred. And once you get there, I'm not going to spoil it, but the reason it's called Flora and Fauna is because of that reason. So I really enjoyed the first volume, and I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. It was really, really good. Good debut for a new series from Image Comics. The sequel, Volume 2, is called Amphibia and Insecta because as they get further into the expansion, they've discovered some amphibians, and I have to mention it is a world where it's not like our world. There are mystical things that are going on, you know, giant creatures, and Sacagawea is pretty kick-ass. The second volume was not as good as the first volume, and I only rated this one 4 out of 5 stars, but it's definitely a series worth checking out. And like I said, check out my full-on review that's found down below. After I read those, I read Beautiful Darkness. Now this is it's a French graphic novel that has been, of course, you know, translated into English. I know a lot of people on Goodreads were really impressed with this. But I have to say, like, everybody was saying, oh, it has beautiful artwork, beautiful artwork. And I have to admit, guys, I hate when people just base whether a graphic novel is good just based on the artwork. Because I gotta be straight up with you guys, this is not, I really thought this was really strange and kind of weird. I really did not think it was worthy of a 4 or 5 star rating. Because, for instance, it's based around these little people. They don't explain where they come from or anything. But they're basically, like, living in the woods around this dead girl's body. I'm trying to find a picture so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, see, they all live around this dead girl's body. And as she's decaying, they're just kind of hanging out there. And they're just really deceitful little people that they backstab each other. And I just really did not think this was a great story. Honestly, I'll admit that I only rated this one 2 out of 5 stars. I just didn't like it. I don't understand why everybody thought this was so great, but sorry guys, I didn't think it was that great. Up next we have Nowhere Men Volume 1. This is another debut of a new series from Image Comics. This one features this very attractive looking young lady wearing a shirt that says "Science is the new rock and roll." And that's pretty much where this book starts out. It starts out where there's this new science company and they're just trying to promote themselves so that they can get more people interested in science. Meanwhile, there are secret space stations with people and mysterious science projects that they are not aware of that are being performed on them. At first, this book was really slow to get into. It was kind of hard getting used to its style. But once it got started, I was like, wow. I was really blown away with this. And I have to say that this is sort of like a smart guy's take on the Fantastic Four. Because what it is basically this science team gets exposed to this quote-unquote virus, and they are mutated or changed so that they have superpowers and abilities. That's all I'm really going to say about this. But this book was really, really good. It does have these like ad type things between the different stories. But to sum this all up, this is a 4-star book. I very much enjoyed this. If you are into superhero books, I would definitely recommend this. It's classified as science fiction, but it is kind of like superheroes, I would have to say. It was definitely worth picking up. After that, I read Rocket Girl. This is another Image comic. Now, this one is, the premise is in the year 2013, they have all this technology. They have the ability to do time travel. They have flying jetpacks. And this is the part that really floors me, is that this 15-year-old girl who is the main character, Rocket Girl, she is a police officer. Yeah, you heard me right. She's a police officer. In no world are they going to let fucking 15-year-old kids be police officers. I'm sorry, but that whole, like, idea right there just fucking made me not like this story. Because, let's face it, teens are always rebellious. They always think they know everything. And there's no way in hell that anyone would ever let teens become cops. Unless they're fucking crazy. So, yeah, I mean, that whole plot idea was just so bad. Like, it's such a bad idea. Like, really? But anyways, the time travel, it kind of reminded me of the Blade Runner. Very much like the Blade Runner. But this girl goes back in the past and she's trying to prevent her future from happening. Really, really not that great of an idea. It was okay reading this, but I only rated this 3 out of 5 stars. It was just okay. I really don't know that I would jump to read another volume of this. I might, if I'm really bored and looking for something time travel, but I'm not going to actively seek that one out. After that, I read America's Got Powers. This is another Image comic, and this one's premise is a meteorite crash lands on Earth some years ago, and all the pregnant women in the area, their babies developed superpowers. And if this anything, it implies, a reality TV show. And I have to admit, I'm one of these people, I hate reality TV. They are so fucking bad, and I'm not a big fan of watching reality TV. So I don't know if that's why I absolutely did not like this book. I was almost not even going to share this book with you guys because I thought it was that bad. But anyways, it's just, reality TV show featuring these kids' superpowers and they fight back because they don't want to do it anymore. It was just really bad, and I only rated this one 1 star out of 5. Some people absolutely love this. There are some people who thought this was a 4-star book. So I'm going to say, I will let you be the judge of this. I'm going to say also, if you're a fan of reality TV, you might like this. But for me, it just wasn't. I wasn't feeling Volume 1. And I wasn't sure what to think of this. Like, Goodreads has been recommending this to me for, like, the last 2 or 3 years. And I just haven't, like, gotten around to reading it until now. So, one of the first thoughts I had about this book was the beautiful artwork. I absolutely was really impressed with the artwork. But like I've said many times before, beautiful artwork does not make a great story. While I do appreciate the concept, it's shortly after World War II, and the city of Chicago has decided to create this like organization to help combat crime. But I just didn't really feel any attachment to any of the characters because the character development was really rather poor. I mean, they're great artwork, great concept, but there's only so many writers who've managed to like pull off this concept of, you know, creating a world where they're the only superheroes that exist in that world. I felt that this really fell flat. It was okay. I have heard from other people that Volume 2 is much better. I don't know if I want to get around to reading Volume 2 just because I just didn't enjoy this that much. But it wasn't too bad. It wasn't terrible, so I only did rate this 3. Okay, I know there were a lot of books this week, more than I normally read. But these are the last 2, I promise. Next up we have Red-Handed, The Fine Art of Strange Crimes. And this is by Matt Kindt, who did the Mind Management, which I thought Mind Management was pretty darn cool. He has his own unique art style. Well, this one, at times, was kind of philosophical. All the little short stories had to do with people getting caught in certain crimes. That's why it's called Red-Handed. And some of the stories kind of tied in together. It didn't make sense till you got like near the end, and it was like, you know, they tied in at different points. So, I thought this was a good read. I didn't think it was that great. I think I only rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. It was good, but it wasn't great, you know what I mean? Like, there were some aha moments where I was like, yeah, that's a really cool analogy. But then the rest of it just kind of got boring, so that's why I gave it a 3. After that, and this will be the last book, Run, Love, Kill, Volume 1. This has a fantastic cover, and I'm not the first to say this. This is a sci-fi by Image Comics. And I hate books that don't give any explanation. They just kind of drop you in. And I know a lot of the times, guys, you always hear me complain about overuse of dialogue, but this has hardly any dialogue in it. So I spent most of the time reading this trying to figure out what the deal is with this girl. I mean, like, is she a spy? Is she an assassin? Is she ex-military? Secret project? I just couldn't figure it out. I had to go on Goodreads and read the synopsis to figure out what the fuck this book was about. So being that it was just a waste of my time because I didn't get that from all the pages of reading this. I got nothing literally from this book, so I only rated this one 1 star out of 5. Don't even waste your time on it. Because the artwork inside didn't even match the cover, and the cover was like the best thing about this book. So that is my latest week in review. As I mentioned before, if you want to hear more about the Manifest Destiny, check out the link below for that video. If you've made it this far in, you're a real trooper. I definitely appreciate it. I know a lot of people don't want to sit through too long of a video. But thank you for watching. Until next time, later, guys.